All right, Christopher Kelsall here with Athletics Illustrated. Thanks for tuning in to this podcast at athleticsillustrated.com. All right, I'm here with Lori Chestnut, formerly Lori Bowden, two-time world Ironman champion, as well as Ulla Hansen, formerly Ulla Marquette, seven-time World Cross Country Championships competitor. Both are on the 2020 Pan Am Cross Country Cup organizing committee. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Both of you are very competitive in your international careers. I'll let both of you answer. So when you were growing up around track and cross country and other sports, specifically with cross country, what did it mean to your development, and what was the community like for you as you were training and racing all those years? Lori, I'll let you go first.
Well, cross country running was the first official sport I was allowed to do in school, and it's sort of the same these days, I think, for most kids at the elementary level. And I remember being in grade 3 or 4 and hearing that there was an announcement for a cross-country running team, but you weren't allowed to be in it till the following grade, so I couldn't actually run. So I just ran and ran around the field thinking, if they see me running, they'll just say, okay, you can run. I don't know why I thought that, probably because I was a kid. And so it was just the first sport we were allowed to do, and super exciting. And other than the running, I didn't do any other organized sports as a kid. So I just think it was a great opportunity to get involved in something with your school, and every kid can do it. You don't need any equipment other than a pair of shoes, and you can just go out and run, and it's always an accomplishment just to finish the race.
There's quite a community around that too, right? Do you remember some of those teachers and volunteers and parents that were out there?
I remember a lot of the teachers, and it was often a teacher that didn't really even know anything about running, but they took the time to coach a team and be there, and just so many great memories of either your computer teacher or your English teacher that came out and coached the team, and you ended up spending a lot of time with them, just going to the practices and then going to all the meets.
All right, Ulla, and so take us back to when you were competing, when you first started competing in cross country.
So when I first started competing, I was in grade 5, and similar to Lori, I did not do a lot of other sports. I found running, or it found me at a very young age, and that was it. I loved running, and every style and type of, track into cross country into, at those days we didn't have road, but it was just that was it for me. And being a small person, you weren't really recruited for the basketball team or all of those kinds of sports. And I actually came into it sort of by accident. They needed somebody. Person on the cross-country team was ill, and I was a go-getter, like, sure, I'll try it. And I was just pretty good at it and loved it from day one. I do remember my first practice with the team because I got picked up by a team really quickly. It was down at Beacon Hill Park, and it was like a snowstorm. And I thought these people were absolutely nuts, but I loved it. I loved the fact that it was so pure. You didn't need, a pool or a stadium, or you could just go run in the park. And it was life-altering for me.
Yeah, and so that paints a really good sort of message for kids who may be struggling with what sport to play or to play any, or if they get picked at all. It kind of sounds like our general manager's story, Bruce Deacon, two-time Olympian in the marathon, where he was afraid to be picked because he knew he'd drop the ball in baseball or whatever. And then, of course, he's tried marathoning at 13 or whatever age that was. But that's a great message, right? Both of you were big into team sports and recognize that all you need is a pair of running shoes or spikes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny, a lot of people won't know this, but we had our first Pan Am cross country cup happen in Victoria at Beaver Lake, so in Saanich, in 1972. So in that race was Thelma Wright, who's helping us out on the committee. You were there, Ulla, watching her in 72 race, and along with Canadian sort of masters legend Mike Creary and Don Cardon, who did well in the marathon in the 76 Olympics. So do you remember that race very well and how it went at Beaver Lake?
I just remember being incredibly excited that this was nationals in my hometown, and of course Thelma was a real mentor for me, seeing this small fair-haired woman that was full of fight and competitiveness. So it was a real opportunity to go watch them do this great race. So I was 14, and that was the first year that I went to nationals and competed in senior 800. That's as far as we went. So cross country was the endurance sport for a runner.
It's funny they only let you run 800 back then, thinking that your uterus would fall out. But
no, it's true.
but you could run cross country, and that was probably 4K back then, or
I don't remember the distance.
it was longer than the 800.
Yeah.
So how did Lori? How did you transition from this culture of cross country, where you have team, you have community, you have all the elements, and who cares? Let's go. To become a world-class Ironman triathlete, Iron woman triathlete?
I think my background in running was a definite asset, and it's just what got me into doing the longer distance events and just more endurance type events. I guess from the cross-country running, like Ulla, it took me into track running and road racing, and back in the day, road racing was so popular, and you could find a 10K event almost every weekend if you wanted in the summer to do that. So it was always something fun to go from one event to the next. And with the running background, I just thought, well, I can probably ride a bike. I didn't really know that it was technical, but I figured, well, if I can run fast or run for a long time, I can probably ride a bike too. And then it was just trying to learn the swimming part after that. But definitely all of the running developed my cardio and just your muscles and strong bones, because you think a lot of people that came from a swimming background, they often tried to get into races like the triathlon and would have a lot of stress fractures and things like that just because they weren't used to all the running. But I'd had years of running, so. Fighting
gravity, and bones are malleable like muscle. A lot of people don't realize that. They don't always break. Sometimes they grow and they grow stronger. That's a good example of that. And then,
I think also like the cross country developed so much power and strength, and as you're adjusting to the different terrain, the hills, it does transfer to all kinds of other running events and triathlon. It develops a runner in ways that road and track can't.
And I think it's a great point, and I think there's even more to it, although this doesn't go into science. We could get some help from Trent Stellingworth, who's helping us out as well with the coaches conference. But here's an example which is interesting. So when I was running, I never got that fast, but I got fit for me. And at 140 pounds or whatever, smaller too. And I had this moving company come in and replace a couch. And I had to help him take a couch out and bring one in. This guy was big. He was 200 pounds, 6'1" or whatever, and he did this for a living. And we lifted my couch out, and my engine, my aerobic engine was so strong that it was not a big deal. Like I could help him with the couch out to the truck and help him with the other one back in. He was sweating profusely and breathing heavy. So it helps. It's a foundation for general fitness, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So let's talk about the 2020 Pan Am Cross Country Cup, or Championships as we sometimes call it. So it's here in Greater Victoria at the Jack Nicklaus-designed Bear Mountain Golf Course, right out the back of our Five-star Westin Bear Mountain Hotel as an athlete's village. So this is a pretty neat event. And so Ulla, is this kind of full circle for you? You do volunteer at the TC 10K, a 10K road race here in Victoria.
And the marathon.
And the marathon, and you've done
track
some coaching.
classics for years, yeah.
You're around. Does this come full circle? Going back to those early cross country days where you saw parents and volunteers and teachers and the community was out at cross country. Is this a little giving back? You're the president of the Victoria International Cross Country Association, which is managing this event. So, in that role, are you giving
I think
back?
it's so important for people to give back to the community and those roots, all the people that have been involved to help athletes at every level. And I go to so many running events, and I see the same people helping that were doing it when I was a kid. And
wow.
Like, that is a lot of energy, and it's so much appreciated. And I think it's really important for every generation to give back. That's what builds a community. And it's also fun for me because I do know so many people in the sport, in every aspect of it. So it's definitely enjoyable, and because I have helped out with road races, I've helped out with track, so now I get to help out with cross country and promote how important and great it is.
Your connections are so pervasive in the sport that I can imagine you being at an expo and a few months later being at another expo, and you carry on that conversation that you left off with that person who's from Ottawa or the Lower Mainland in Vancouver or somewhere in the running community across Canada, like as if that 6-month or 1 year break didn't actually happen. Yeah.
That's another part of it that's really fun, is so many people are coming to help and to get involved. For instance, Vince Sakura from Up Island, who is doing, he's an official, very involved. I haven't seen Vince in probably 40 years. And
wow.
So like rebuilding those connections and seeing people again is really exciting. And it's kind of like a labor of love. So many local athletes, former athletes, and now their children, their grandkids. It's a real community, and it's exciting to be a part of it.
And Lori, well said. And Lori, same question to you. So is this a little giving back?
It is. I feel like I'm just not at Ulla's level, but I'm getting my feet wet, so to speak, in the volunteering. So there is still a lot that I have to learn and to know. So it's a very slow process for me to know what my strengths might be and what I can do and not do. But you have to start somewhere anyway. So it is fun to be a part of it, and just your excitement for a sport it's really nice to be able to hopefully pass that on to some other people. So whatever my level of involvement is, at least if I can help get some people excited to come participate in events like this, and that's pretty exciting.
An elite career. It's a pastime, a hobby, and a sport, and a recreational activity. So are you still exercising in some way related to aerobic fitness?
I'm still pretty fit, not as fit as I guess fit at a different level than I was before.
Let's not hold you to the standard you were at once
No.
before. No, but you're still getting out and cycling here and there and running here and there?
Mostly just running.
Yeah, so you get to run,
Yeah.
right? Put on some shoes, simple, get out and run. And do you enjoy it?
I love it, yeah. It's the one thing that I never feel like I want to stop doing. So even if it's 3 times a week, or 2 times a week. I feel like at whatever age, there's nothing that beats going out for a run and the feeling that you get after you've done a run. So even if it's a short 30-minute run or whatever it is, it's pretty hard to beat that feeling.
I agree. Ulla?
Absolutely.
You're taking your daughter out running now. You get to run with your daughter. How cool is that?
It is awesome. It is great. She's only started running at 32. She was a dancer as a kid, and so it's great. There's nothing better than just being able to go out to somewhere like Thetis Lake and spend an hour in nature and just... it feels good. It recharges our batteries mentally, physically, and running with friends. It's very social in a way that a lot of sports aren't. You can run with people, or you can run by yourself. You can run with your dog. You just, it's always available no matter where you are, and so I still love to go for runs.
Awesome. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it's great. It doesn't matter what fitness level you're at compared to your old self. Your mind is working at whatever fitness level you're at, and it kind of seems fast sometimes, like a good effort.
Don't take your watch.
No. Well, that's actually a whole another discussion about people training by the watch and Strava. Strava's a great thing, and watches are a great thing, but that's a whole other discussion that I'd love to talk about another time for sure. Maybe I'll tee you up for a discussion about that, because you come from a time when you wrote down, we all did, you wrote down in a logbook what you did.
Oh, yeah.
And you've probably got them still, right?
Although when I added my mileage up one week and I got to 99, and I laced up my shoes and went out and did 1 mile. And I came back and I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. And so I tried to go more by feel rather than numbers.
That's what I did
at a certain
most
point.
of the time too. And I think the logbook was great, and it's great for people in that you could use a calendar and it makes you accountable, and it's more just to see the days that you ran versus the days you didn't run. So just seeing it on a calendar, visualizing it almost every day, that's probably one of the more important tools than judging what your time was or your speed. So
Good stuff.
You can lead yourself into a whole heap of trouble by sticking to just the numbers rather than how you feel, health, all the other factors in your life.
It's funny how a watch can cause injury.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's a discussion. I know I opened a can of worms right there, and it's a great discussion to have, actually. And but let's talk about, before we wrap up here, let's talk about the 2020 Pan Am Cross Country Cup / championships that we're sort of calling it. Things are coming together. We've got Bruce Deacon as the general manager. We've got a really good committee, and we've got a great site. So how are things looking, Ulla, generally speaking, regarding the big event?
Things are looking great. A lot of excitement building, and I feel like things are all moving towards, a great event in 3 months. We're getting our volunteers signed up. We're, getting our team leads organized. Sponsors are falling in and helping out, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be great.
It will be. And where can one sign up to volunteer or register to race, whether it's a community race or the Masters, Can-Am Championships, or the Elite race? Where does that take place?
So if you go to our website at panamxccup2020.com, you will find tabs for all of the races, for volunteers, and all kinds of information about the event. If the link isn't up for the particular area that you're interested in, it will be in the next few days. So just keep checking back, and we do have other links for media interest, different school events that are happening in conjunction with our overall event in February.
Of course, we have a Facebook page and Twitter handle and Instagram account. But once again, that website URL is panamxccup2020.com.
Come out and watch it because it'll be amazing. Bring your kids and people that you know. They'll be inspired just watching all the other athletes out there on the course.
Lots of parking, right, Lori?
Lots of parking and a beautiful venue, so why not come out to Bear Mountain?
And the sight lines are awesome too, right? You can stand in certain places and see almost all of the race take place over the 2K loop. Yes?
Yep.
panamxccup2020.com to register to volunteer or to race the community race, the elite race, or the Masters Pan Am Championships happening Saturday, February 29th, 2020. Thanks for joining me in this podcast, Ulla and Lori.
Great. Thank
Thanks,
you, Chris.